Hey guys, how you going? I hope you're all doing well and welcome to day 19 of the 30-day health kickstart. In today's video, we're going to be discussing how and when to progress your exercise or your exercise program, and also how do you know that you're having an effective or good workout. So last week we spoke about how to create an exercise program and understanding all the principles behind that side of it. But today we're going to be focusing more on what to do once you've got that in place and you want to continue progressing towards your goals. So how and when to progress your exercise? Well, this is going to depend completely on your goal. Now, your goal might just be to maintain a level of fitness, for example. So it could be to maintain a 5-kilometer run time. But if you do have a goal where you want to constantly work towards something that you can't achieve yet, then you're going to want to progress your exercise and progress your program along with it. And when we're talking about progressing, what we're really talking about is changing something in the exercise or in the programming to make it more challenging. So that could be time under tension, the amount of reps you're doing, having an increased load, or even changing the exercise itself. Essentially though, what we're speaking about is progressive overload, that magic word that we spoke about in the last video. Just a super quick side note, if the lighting constantly is changing from bright to dark, it's just because I'm using natural lighting and it's really cloudy and then sunny today and it keeps switching between the two. So hopefully it's not too annoying. Okay, so before you even think about progressing your exercise or your program, the key thing is to focus on mastering the basics first. Don't run before you can walk. There is no point in progressing to a barbell squat if you still can't consistently perform a bodyweight squat with good form and feeling comfortable and safe. And there's nothing wrong with sticking with the basic form of the exercise until you feel like you have mastered it. If you focus on having good form, controlling the movement, and mind-muscle connection within the exercise, you are going to reap the rewards in the future when you want to progress that exercise. That goes for body weight or weighted exercises. If you are happy that you have mastered the fundamental version of that exercise, then it might be time to have a look at when and how to progress the exercise. And that's when we're going to bring back in our beautiful thing of RPE, the rate of perceived exertion. So we spoke about RPE in the last video. I will link it up here if you want to go and check it out. But essentially, just to quickly go over it again, RPE is a scale of 1 to 10 on how hard an exercise feels. 1 being this takes no effort at all, 10 being this is maximal effort. Now we spoke about wanting to be in a range between 6 to 8 for most exercises. This is just a super general rule of thumb, but if you find that an exercise is starting to get to 5 and less on the RPE scale, it might mean there's time to progress the exercise. Ultimately, just remember this phrase. If it's not challenging you, it's not changing you. And if your goal is to change in some way, that might be to increase your fitness, increase your strength, increase your stamina, then it needs to be consistently challenging you. Okay, so you think you're ready to progress an exercise or a program. Now let's talk about how you actually do that. Obviously, there's tons of different ways you can do this, but initially most people will just increase their reps. So we spoke about working in a rep range of around 8 to 12 reps. So initially you might start with 8 reps, you might start to adjust to that and find that starts to get easier over time, in which case you're going to add a couple more reps on. So let's say you're going to start doing 10 reps. If you then get to 12 reps and you're finding that you can easily do that exercise with good form and you feel comfortable doing it, it's probably a sign that something needs to change, because we don't want to just continually add on reps all the time. It gets a little bit boring and there's only so much you can add on. So what we want to do is change something. So you could change the exercise itself, and we can see this example in an incline push-up or an assisted pull-up, where you go from doing a push-up on an incline to then trying to lower the incline and making it more challenging, or trying to do it on the floor. The same for a squat. Depending on where you start, you might start with a bodyweight squat onto a chair or a bench, then you might increase that to a bodyweight squat into a goblet squat, and so on and so forth. You could also increase the weight or the load. So if it's an exercise that you're using weights for, or you can easily add on weights, so for example, a bodyweight squat into a goblet squat, or a shoulder press and then just adding on weight, what we would do is add on an incremental amount of weight, go back to 8 reps and work within that 6 to 8 RPE range. And then once you've managed that, you're going to go up to 10 reps, up to 12, then you can increase the weight. Again, this is not a hard and fast rule, but the main thing to remember is if it's not challenging you, it's not changing you. Okay, so let's move on to how do you know that you've had a good workout or that your exercise is working? Again, this is going to depend on your goal. Your goal might be to increase cardiovascular fitness or your VO2 max. It might be to work on a skill, it might be to build lean muscle mass, or something completely different. But essentially, the markers that show that you've had a good and effective workout are going to be different for everyone. Now naturally, most people look for physical signs of having a good workout. This can be good, but it can also give you some unreliable markers of a good workout or effective exercise. So let's run over some of the good and some of the bad ones. Let's start with the good. So if your form is improving, this is going to be a fantastic way to know whether your exercise is having a benefit to you. If when you start you can't perform a bodyweight squat without your knees caving in or your heels coming off the floor or you're bending over forward really far, and then slowly over time you start to find it's easier, you're finding your mobility is working a lot better and you just feel a lot more comfortable, then you know that the exercise is having a benefit to you. Remember, form is key, so form over everything. Another one is, are your minimals increasing? So let's take running for an example. I know if I went out and run, then I would be able to run 5 kilometers. There's usually not a day that goes that I wouldn't be able to run 5 kilometers. When I started though, I wasn't even able to run 500 meters without stopping. And as I started to train, it started to gradually improve. And I found that I could consistently run 500 meters, and then it went up a little bit, so I could consistently run 1 kilometer, and then 2 kilometers, until I got to 5 kilometers. So my minimal fitness in this area was always increasing, and it was consistently staying at that new level. So if you're noticing that your minimals are increasing, then this is a fantastic way to know that your exercise is having a benefit to you. Now, on the other hand, we have plenty of bad ways in which physical markers cannot be relied upon. The first one being DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. Now, there's a really popular belief out there that unless your muscles hurt after a workout or the next day, that you've not had an effective workout. And this is not true. DOMS is simply based on putting your muscle under something new, a new stimulus. So let's say I went and asked you to do a shoulder press and you had never done one before, then you're probably likely to have DOMS. If I then increased a load of weight onto an exercise that you were already doing and you were comfortable with, you would probably have DOMS. So instead of it meaning that you have been working hard, it just simply means that you've been doing something different. Now obviously progressive overload comes under that umbrella of different, but essentially you can't rely on feeling sore muscles to know whether you've had a good workout or not. Your body will also adapt over time, so you'll find that the more you train, the less likely you are to have DOMS. Secondly, the idea that you need to be sweating to have had a good workout. Sweating is your body's way of cooling down, and many things affect how much or how little you sweat. Things like your gender, your age, the environment that you're training in, the type of exercise you're doing, your body weight. There's loads of things that go into it, and it's not all one size fits all. Personally, I don't really sweat that much unless I'm working out in a really, really hot place, and we're talking like a hot country, or working out and doing Bikram yoga or something like that, or I'm doing HIIT. That's pretty much the only 2 places that I full on sweat. Otherwise, I might just feel a little bit warm, but most of the time I'm just cold. So it's going to be different for everyone, so do not rely on how much you're sweating to know whether you've had a good workout. So obviously another fantastic way of knowing whether your exercise is working or is being beneficial to your health is to look at physical health markers. So we're talking about things like your blood pressure and your resting heart rate. If you're seeing a reduction in these over time, then that shows that exercise is having a huge benefit to your body. Another thing you can look at is how quickly you recover. So when you actually do a workout, if you're finding that the recovery time from that workout is reducing, that tends to be a good marker that you're getting fitter, stronger, and that your body is working more efficiently. And then finally, there's your mental health. Are you less stressed? Are you generally a little bit happier or more content? And are you enjoying your workouts and moving your body as well? Don't forget, these are some often forgotten about but really, really important side effects of exercise. So make sure you're also including that when you're considering whether your workouts are being effective or not. Ultimately, remember the key reasons we spoke about why you should exercise. It's not about burning calories. If you do have a specific fitness goal, obviously working towards that is important. Instead of focusing on one session at a time and the impact that might be having, try to have a more holistic view of everything and think about the benefits long term. Alright guys, that's what I've got for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something new. All the information for the giveaway will be down below, and I will see you in the next video.